This is Will Hicks with the OCR Report. Can I ask a kindness? We are looking for new members of the OCR Report. We want OCR to be here for the next 100 years. The OCR Report is helping make that happen with race live streams, podcasts, race result graphics, and the best race photos in the sport. For just $5 a month, you can help us support the sport. That's less than a cup of coffee or a month of Strava. $5. Sign up right now at patreon.com/the OCR Report. That is patreon.com/the OCR Report. You are too kind. On today's episode, Robert Camilleri, the director of Spartan Oceania and the race director for the OCR Community World Championships. Welcome to the OCR Report podcast. The OCR Report is the live stream home for the sport of obstacle course racing. Become a member at patreon.com/the OCR Report and help us ensure OCR is here for the next 100 years. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the OCR Report. Welcome back to the OCR Report. Thank you for listening. My name is Will Hicks. You can follow us on Instagram at the OCR Report. You can email me, will@theocrreport.com. I would love to hear from you. And you can get a discount on your next Spartan race. Use the code OCR Report 20. Save 20% off of your next Spartan, Tough Mudder, Deca Fit here in the U.S., in Europe, and everywhere else. It's good for your Spartan and Tough Mudder stuff too. Today on our show, we're talking OCR Community World Championships. You remember the OCR WC, the Adventuri race brand, the very first independent world championship. Now it's owned by Spartan. Spartan partnered with Adrian Mijanata and Adventuri in 2023. It was like the race was a co-production. 2024, Spartan acquired the brand, and they took a break, 1 year hiatus here in 2025, and next year will be the first year of the OCR Community World Championships. We're going to talk with the race director from Spartan Oceania, Spartan Australia, essentially. It also includes like Fiji and New Zealand, those other countries. But the race will be in Australia in May next year. Very exciting. Before we talk with Robert, let's read some iTunes reviews.
Hey, baby, you're so smart. Look at what you're doing now.
You're so smart, you pushed the wrong button. Let's read some iTunes reviews. Look, we're getting back into podcasting, okay?
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
The Grizz writes, 5 stars. Favorite OCR pod. One of the best OCR podcasts out there. In-depth coverage, good hard-hitting interviews, i.e. Missing Prize Money with Joe DeSena, and fun to listen to content. 10 out of 10. Thank you, The Grizz. The Grizz says 10 out of 10. The Grizz, I don't know if you know how we review podcasts around here, but we generally are looking for 5 out of 5. But we'll allow it. Thank you, The Grizz. You can leave a review also, like The Grizz, on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, and we will read it on a future episode. Thanks, The Grizz. We're going to talk OCR CWC in a minute. But before we do, I want to follow up on last episode when we talked about Rylan Schadegg. Rylan, if you don't know, Rylan was one of the top athletes in our sport. He passed away recently due to an accident in the mountains near his home. I was able to attend the service for Rylan in Utah. It was beautiful and painful. There were tears and laughter. The church was full. I don't know the capacity, and I didn't count. I wasn't there doing media, but there were maybe 200 people. And there were 2 rows full of OCR and fitness folks whose names you would recognize. The row in front of me probably had 10 world championships represented in it. You and I know Rylan because of OCR and High Rocks and DECA, but his life was obviously full of much more than just what you and I saw on Saturdays. The service was unapologetic about how important Rylan's faith was to him. He believed in Jesus, and he was happy to talk about him with anyone. Lots of people, especially here in the U.S., say they're a Christian. Rylan said it, but he also lived it out. The Bible says you can know what people are like what they're really like, by their fruit. Good trees give you good fruit, and bad trees give you bad fruit. Another part of the Bible says the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. There's a quality that we don't appreciate enough, and Rylan exemplified it. And that quality is power under control. Power under control. Rylan was one of the strongest, fastest athletes in our sport. He holds the DECA world records for fit, for mile, and for strong. What are the DECA distances? Oh, there's 3 of them: fit, mile, and strong. He's got them all. He was strong. He was fast. He won the Spartan North American National Series. He won the 3K OCR World Championships. He was a powerful athlete, but all that power existed alongside the love and the joy and the peace and the patience and the kindness and the goodness and the faithfulness and the gentleness and self-control. Even if you don't believe in Jesus or anything, you can't tell me you don't believe in Rylan Schadegg. He was a walking, breathing example of how the Bible would tell us to live. And I'm not saying he was a saint, and I'm sure he would tell you he had flaws like any other person, but Rylan was not shy about sharing his faith. He was and is an example to all of us. The service closed with Rylan's mom and dad sharing stories about their son. Rylan's dad shared that they will be establishing a charity in Rylan's honor called Running with Rylan. When we have more information on the charity, we will pass it on. As I said, there were several athletes there, guys and girls who raced with Rylan or trained with Rylan. I talked with several of them. I'll reach out to you guys privately. But if you would like to come on and talk about Rylan or share stories or even just record something short that we can pass along on the show, I would love to make that happen. I'll reach out in the next few weeks. But if you want to beat me to it, shoot me an email. Text me or shoot me an email, will@theocrreport.com. Next year, 2026 OCR Community World Championships. I don't know if they're calling it the OCR CWC or not. It seems like a mouthful. It's like one initial too many. But the Community World Championships will be in Australia. We talked with the director of the race. He told us what to expect. He told us about some obstacle news. He told us about housing, logistics, that kind of stuff. Very excited. This is the first time he's been on our show. Very excited to talk with our guests today. It's time to talk with Robert Camilleri. Let's go to the phones. Robert Camilleri is the director of Spartan Oceania, which includes Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji. Robert, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Very nice to meet you.
Robert, we are talking about the OCR Community World Championships. What is your role with the race this year or next year?
So as the host event operator in Australia, we've been talking to Spartan for a long time about bringing a major world championship down under. And the OCR World Championship made so much sense that we suggested that maybe as a bit of a refresh, that we could actually make it more community focused. And, what does that mean? For us, when we think about communities, and we do it so well in Spartan Race around our Spartan communities with all the different brands, that the OCR World Championship now being rebranded to a Community World Championship, what I'd like to see and what I want is I want to invite all of the major event operators globally to come down to Queensland and set up their marquee obstacles. Now, whether we can do that for them or not, but, I want to make the OCR Community World Championships a celebration of all the event operators, not just Spartan.
So across the brands, in the US, Savage or Toughest in Europe. And
Absolutely. Yeah, so we've got a few here in Australia, which we're already talking to around bringing their marquee obstacles. And that's quite exciting because, Spartan has its own feel. We've got our marquee one, which we call the Fortress, which everybody sort of have seen that on our socials. True Grit's an operator here in Australia. We've got Red Dust over in Western Australia. We've got Raw Challenge here in Queensland. And then, like you said, there's a dozen brands in the US. There's a dozen brands in Europe that have got some really popular obstacles, which we'd love to host here in Australia at the OCR Community World Championships, which for me, that makes the community, because it's not just about Spartan, it's not just about the Spartan brand, it's about all the brands coming together as a community.
That's kind of maybe a change of pace is the right phrase. When the OCR WC first started, it was known for having obstacles from multiple different brands, but notably Spartan was never really part of that. So since Spartan's purchased the OCR WC, it kind of almost flipped. Like now Spartan's kind of inviting everyone else to the party. Kind of going the other way now.
Well, look, to grow the sport and actually, with the pathways to the modern pentathlon era, and that, it's actually going to take a level up across all of the OCR brands. So, I think we've got to come together now and really, bring back and level up the sport from a global perspective. And, OCR has been around for a long time. We've got a lot of veterans that have left the sport. We want to see them come back when we start to innovate and do events like this where you can go and get the best of the best globally. And, there's a way to experience all those marquee obstacles, because that's really why we turn up. We want to experience those challenges and meet the people that are in their little communities that maybe won't cross brands. But, so that's quite exciting. If we can manage to pull that off, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but, that's definitely our objective.
I've never been to Australia. As a first-timer or first-timers that are considering coming to the race, what should people know?
Well, look, Australia, where we've picked the location here in Queensland, it never gets cold. So that's one of the benefits. It's well known for its temperature, its consistent temperatures. Today is going to be probably 33 degrees. I'm not too sure how you translate that into but that's probably like 100 on your scale.
Sure.
But reasonably hot, nice and sunny. So a beautiful day out today with, I just got up to make breakfast for all the boys, and they've just headed off to, continue to build obstacles for this weekend's event. Queensland is known as the sunny state. The venue is an absolute marquee site. If I show you some of the stuff here, so I'm standing in front of this massive obstacle that's built out of bamboo, which will be hosting our podiums on the weekend. And if you travel out towards the east here, there's massive open spaces of glamping, and then to the west here is where all the hills and rivers are, and we've got a lake which they call the beach. There's plenty of fauna, Australia's been noted for having probably the 10 of the most dangerous animals in the world that can kill you or eat you. But less to know that there's plenty of wallabies here, which are very pleasant. Lots of bush turkeys running around. There was a goanna climbing up the tree this morning, so that's a big lizard. If you don't know what that is, and
a bush something.
Bush turkeys. So they're like a big chicken, and they'll follow you around trying to steal your food. But yeah, so Australia, the venue is less than an hour's drive from Brisbane International Airport. So accessibility was really important for us to ensure that all of the global participants can actually get here, and I'm a big fan of making it easy. So we're about to launch this weekend the ticketing, which will include information around transfers to the venue, on-site glamping on the venue. If you want to hire a car, we've got a car partner, we've got accommodation partners. So we've got to make it really easy for the participants to get here from wherever they're coming around the globe, and be able to get on site and stay on site, because that's really what makes the race.
So for some of those logistical type stuff, you said Brisbane's the best airport to fly into.
Absolutely. So there's actually two international airports that sit north and south of the venue. One's Maroochydore, which is Sunshine Coast, and Brisbane. But Brisbane would be the most easiest and most affordable, because it is a hub. So in your plans, when you're thinking about how do you get to Australia, well, there's plenty of flights from Dallas out of the US, plenty of flights from LA, and they all come into Brisbane. Out of Asia, Dubai, Malaysia, and Singapore, and all the flights from Europe go through one of those hubs. And I think there's a UK flight that comes directly into Perth, which then you can just do a leapfrog over the Nullarbor, as they say, into Brisbane. So it's definitely very accessible from that perspective, and we are thinking about logistics that when you land, we're going to make it really easy for you to get on a bus and have a 40-minute trip down to the venue. You basically get dropped off at your glamping tent, and whether or not you want to stay in a group or you want to be by yourself, there'll be plenty of options for that. And then you'll be able to, with that same booking process, book it, back to Brisbane Airport. So very similar. If you've ever gone to the Trifecta World Championships in Greece, Nirvana's been amazing in managing those packages. So we're doing something very similar.
So airport transfer to the venue. As far as lodging, it sounds like the recommended option is the glamping.
Yeah, absolutely. Very affordable.
What does glamping look like? What is what's the bed? What's the rooming? What's the setup?
So you've got glamping tents, which are as small as singles to two shared, up to, I think there's large, like they call them tents, but they're actually like cabins with walls on it, or fixed roofs with the tent sides, and you probably can get 4 or 5 people in there with bunk beds. But we'll make all of that available on the release, so that the races can plan. I know having travelled internationally for a lot of events, this is really important to me because I know from my own experiences, getting there is half the battle, and it's a logistical challenge. So if you can make it easy, people will turn up.
Hotel options? Anything close, or is it mainly Brisbane?
No, well, the Sunshine Coast and Brisbane are about the same distance, but my recommendation is that if you want to book a hotel, I'd look at Sunshine Coast because it's an absolutely amazing part of the country there, and it's still only a 40-minute drive to the venue, and we also have a hire car partner, which we've organised a 20% discount on hire cars so that they can pick that up at the airport, drive up the coast, spend the week on the beach. And look, I would recommend that if you're coming all the way to Australia, that come for the event definitely, but spend some time here. There's a lot to see and do, in particular in Queensland. The more north you go, the more pristine it gets. We're about to head into our summer in the southern parts of the country. So if you're a New Yorker and you want to see a big city, then definitely Sydney and Melbourne are the ones to visit. If you want to get out and experience the mountains, there's plenty of ski resorts that will be open for the summer for hiking, and even all the way through Central Coast, which is the Blue Mountains in Sydney, are amazing sceneries there that if you want to get out and aboard.
You have a favorite local tourist spot, like when friends or family come visit you say, oh, you got to go see this?
Yeah, that's interesting. So traveling interstate, I always gravitate to, Queensland's beaches. I mean, because we don't get the crisp beaches like that down in Melbourne. There is part of the country in Melbourne, which is they call the Mornington Peninsula, which is very, very nice. But, you've got maybe 100 kilometres of beach there where you might have 1,000 kilometres in Brisbane. So any place up and down the Sunshine Coast is great. Noosa's a bit of a hot spot there. So that's the one that if you wanted to go and kick your feet up at a resort and just, walk out of your back door straight onto the beach, that'll be the place to go.
What are some other parts like local flavor, right, racers can expect for the race? Something new maybe, or something uniquely Australia?
Well, look, we have Max DeLacy, our general manager, is a long-time experienced Spartan. He was he brought Spartan race to Australia, so he's always innovating, and he's always on the phone with the Europeans and Joe saying, "Hey, I've got this great idea." So I wouldn't doubt that he's already got his whiteboard out trying to design something new. So we've looked at the obstacle menu. There's about 10 marquee obstacles that are in that OCR World catalogue, which we've never had in Australia. So we're looking to bring, I think, 3 of those, if not more of those, in for this event. And we may even bring some new ones that, with the sign-off, will be designed here in Australia. And we're working very closely with the local federation here, Obstacle Australia, and the ninja community around, what do they want to see? So we're very open to feedback around stuff that's new. We've done a bit of research around, what are the really popular obstacles abroad, in the US, North America, and Europe. And so we've got our eye on those. So we're going to start discussions with all the event operators around, what does it look like if we wanted to build one of those or bring one of those to Australia, and how can we promote their brand to the community, so that we get, more races, experiencing, all of these great brands that resonate globally.
Sometimes you get the best stuff out of that. Just like some guy who's reasonably empowered, like, hey, make us a good course or come up with a good obstacle. And he's like, okay, what about this?
And that's how the Fortress here in Australia sort of evolved many years ago. That our race director just woke up one day and goes, I'm just going to build something that's hard, and I've got these, Olympus walls that are left over. And what about if I put a roof on it, and then you have to climb up and be upside down for a part of it? And they just evolved, in an afternoon. So, but I'd say stay tuned because we're definitely the tip of the sword down here in Australia in terms of innovating ideas. We chew our relationship manager's ear off around bringing stuff that's new, and we get it. There's certain standards that you want to have globally, in particular with the Spartan brand and the competition element. But this is a Community World Championship, so it's really over to the community. If you've got any really good ideas, I'd love to hear about them. But we're all for making new challenges that are fun, exciting, and challenging.
You mentioned it's 33 degrees Celsius there today. That's like 91 Fahrenheit.
That's right. Pretty hot.
The race is scheduled for May of next year. What does the weather typically look like in May?
So it doesn't get as hot. So it'd probably get into the high 20s here. Like right here, right now, there's a little bit of a cool breeze. I'm standing in the shade. The sun's up. So it's probably 18 to 20 at the moment. But then when the sun gets above you, that's when it really heats up. So, coming out in the morning is going to be great for the races because they're going to have a bit of sun on them. They'll be running in the shade and, they'll just experience the venue for the best it can be. There's plenty of water on course and there's plenty of shade. So there's structures like that sitting all over the place where the spectators can congregate. There's plenty of marquees that have been set up, and there's great viewing galleries which are going to be set up this weekend so that we can have the spectators experience viewing the races out on course. And that's part of the fun, right? Like, 'cause you want to have your family and friends involved in completing your challenges. So the weather will be a bit lighter, a bit cooler, but still warm enough in the afternoon. So we're thinking of, on the Thursday, we'll bring in everybody for a bit of a festival launch. And on the Friday, we'll start the 80-metre rig heats. And we'll run our teams competition as well. And then on the Saturday, we'll continue with heats if need be, but then run the 15K championship, the 3K championship. And then Saturday night, we'll have the finals for the 80-metre rig. And then we'll flip it all over Saturday night to run a trifecta day for Spartan on the Sunday to close out the weekend. We haven't settled on prize money yet, but we're looking to make it epic. I'm a big believer that if you put the carrots out there, people will come. So we want to see if we can bring the best of the best across all those brands to come and be on show, because people will want to go and meet these well-known athletes across all the brands in such a great venue here under lights when we have that podium in that building there.
You mentioned the race distances. Friday, Saturday are the race days. Let's talk about the distances. Like what events are there to compete in?
Yeah, so we'll start with the 80-metre rig. So we've been working with Modern Pentathlon quite a bit here in Australia around what the format for these short rig courses are. And so they've kindly agreed to come and help us put together that 80-metre rig, which is the Olympic format. I know this weekend in Harbour, they've got the 100-metre championship there, which is a fantastic venue, a fantastic championship. But, traditionally the UIPM focus has been on the 80-metre format. So we're going to bring that as a bit of a change to what traditionally has been the short course. We'll run a teams event on the Friday. So that's quite popular here in Australia. So we look at some of the functional fitness competitions, and teams have been really popular where you're getting, in a convention centre, 10 to 15,000 people turning up to do teams events. So we're quite excited about that because that's something new that's in Australia, the teams event format. So that'll be done on the Friday. And the rig heats will run all day. With the view then on the Saturday morning, we'll open up the 15-kilometre championship race. And then in the after lunch, we'll do the short course, which is the 3K. And then if we need to run further heats for the 80 metre. We'll do that on the Saturday, with the view that Saturday night we'll do our podiums for the championship race, and then we'll run an 80 metre final with everybody in the festival area, and finish with a bit of a party. At that stage, all of the Spartan racers may be walking in to collect their packets for the following day, and then we'll wake up on Sunday morning and we'll run a trifecta day where it will be our Beast National Series for Spartan APAC. So we're running the Beast Oceania Series there, and then the following for the rest of the day, you can go and complete a super and sprint to get your trifecta medal.
That 80 meter championship, is that a 1v1? Like it's kind of single elimination, you get to the top 2 men, top 2 women and go for it?
Yeah, so it's a dual rig. So there's 2 people that shoot off in each wave. So the heats could take anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds. So we'll just cycle those through, and we'll give everybody 2 goes with their rego. And then we'll take the top 10 male, female, and then depending on the numbers, we may even go down to age groups. It's really just we'll see what the registrations look like, but then we'll have a final on the Saturday night, which at the moment we'll rank them the top 10, first versus 10th, second versus 9th, etc., to run their finals heat, and then there'll be the top 2 to do a final run through, which will be the pinnacle.
Has there been any more news as far as qualification requirements, standards, or?
Yep, that should come out this week. So we've made the decision to do a look back to the 1st of January this year. So that a communication will go out to all of the event operators over the next week to say that if you've run an event and it's fitted these standards and you've had a podium and you've got your elites or your most competitive categories, those events do qualify. And then going forward, they can just contact us or Obstacle Australia around an event being nominated between now and the end of April next year, and they'll be able to use the new OCR Community World Championship logo as an event qualifier, and essentially the same rules apply. It'll be the podiums. They'll contact us and say, we've got these 3 male, female. Here's their social media handles. Can you send us some codes? And we'll do it like any World Championship, where we'll send the codes off to the event operator to pass on to the participants. And then we want to do a bit of profiling. So, as those elite and champion racers register for the championship or any of the events, we really want to celebrate that, so to bring them more visible to the whole global community. That's why we're asking for their social handles, so we can go and have a look at some of their social media, and then also work with them to profile them and profile each of the countries.
You mentioned prize money for the elites. There's been a conversation, kind of an ongoing thing here in the U.S. about prize money and getting athletes paid after they win. Has that been an issue in Australia, or what are the thoughts over there about it?
No, well, we've been a Southern European. We're very big on cash here, so we actually pay our winners in cash on the day. So if you look at our socials, you see that we've done it with, in particular, with our DECA champions. That there's cash on the day, so they can actually take a photo with the cash on the podium. So that's never been an issue here. It's disappointing that sometimes that arises, but look, having run multiple businesses, sometimes it just gets stuck in admin or somebody's inbox, and nobody's looking out for it, because it's one of those things that you think that's got done. But look, they'll get better at that. It's important to the community that if they're going to turn up and they're going to compete, that they get that prize money in their hands as soon as possible. So we've got a very good track record of paying our athletes, and you can talk to you can see that on all the socials that we do that on the day in cash. So if you don't want the cash, that's fine. We'll do an international transfer, but there's no issues here in Australia. And then on the prize money, because it's the first one, I'm a big fan of investing in the brand. So stay tuned to, see what the numbers are going to be. We may have prize money for all of the competitions, but I'm sure that, when I sit down with my board, the 15K, which is the championship race, is going to be something that you may have not seen before.
Yeah, those big checks on the podium, those are fun, but what's better is an envelope in your pocket.
Yeah, that's right. Like cash is king. That's my brand, my motto.
So if everything goes well, what does the future look like for the OCR CWC in Australia? Could this be a multi-year arrangement?
Yeah, so we've been working with the state government here in Queensland and Moreton Bay, which is the local government here. They're quite excited about the opportunity to work with us and keep the event here in Queensland. I'm a big believer that you got to find the right location that people can plan ahead, and if we can make this May date an ongoing date, which for the foreseeable future doesn't look like that's going to be an issue. The venue owners here are quite excited to have us here for a number of years. They're quite experienced in terms of running festivals and events here. That there's been as much as 25,000 people come into this venue for multi-day festivals. So they're well geared up to support us in keeping the event here in Australia and keeping the event here in Queensland. It's quite exciting for the government and Moreton Bay because of the tourism impacts that large events like this can bring to the local economy. And the people are great. There's a bunch of people that live on site here. You go into the town just down the road. They're all hospitable. They're all very friendly. And Queenslanders are, more generally in the more welcoming people in our country. Not to say that Melburnians and Sydney's are terrible, but they live a big city life. So sometimes things are all just going too fast. Where in Queensland, it's a little bit more relaxed. Everybody's happy to have a yarn. That's Australian for a chat. The first thing they'll offer you is a beer, even at 11 o'clock in the morning.
You say they're happy to have a yarn.
Yes. So that's slang for a chat.
I'm working on my Australian slang.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's simple for them, just a discussion. So if you want to just talk about anything,
sure.
They're happy to just have a yarn. That's the lingo.
Yarn. Robert, what else should we tell people about? What did I not ask you? What's important to get out there?
Look, I think feedback is good. So we've been monitoring all the socials around, what are some of the concerns, what are some of the positives. There's more positives than concerns, but we want to hear what the reservations are. So if there's stuff around, it's going to be too expensive. Well, the Aussie dollar is really cheap at the moment. I think you get nearly 2-to-1 out of Europe, and you get about $1.40 or $1.50 out of the US. So it could be a really cheap holiday that if you've been looking to do something. So I think just do your research around what the costs are going to be. Have a look at the ticketing with all of the accommodation options and the transfer options. I think we could solve all of those unknowns, because the unknowns is what's going to make people a little bit reserved to, go and make the effort to go and plan a trip. But, I think we can make it really easy. In terms of the experience, look, we're really good at what we do here in Australia. Our NPS scores, which are the customer feedback scores, are some of the highest in the world for Spartan racing. So rest assured that, we know what customer experience is about. And, our one thing is to deliver a great customer experience on site. And, our team is really innovative. And, if you turn up in May next year, expect the unexpected. It's going to be epic. It'll be phenomenal. There'll be stuff that you've never seen before. You'll be running with kangaroos on course. You'll wake up and there'll be a goanna sleeping on your doorstep. It's just a great place to come and visit. And, if it's a bucket list, tick it off. That's all I can say.
Robert Camilleri, thanks much.
Thank you very much. Great to see you.
Special thanks to Robert Camilleri for appearing in this episode. Well done, Robert. Go to OCRWorldChampionships.com for more info and to buy tickets when they go on sale. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and become a member at patreon.com/the OCR Report. Support the sport we love for $5. I will talk with you soon. Go spend time with someone you love.